We're here with Michelle Nazari, founding CEO of Fonzarelli electric motorcycles and scooters. And we're talking about the new range that we've got here. This is the Arthur, brand new on the market, I believe. We've got the Naked over here and the X1 that Michelle is on. Just talk us through, how did you found the company? Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, so I started Fonzarelli in 2010. I've always cared about the environment and transport and carbon emissions go hand in hand. It's the second biggest polluter in Australia. So when I started Fonzarelli, I was looking to make enticing bikes that could help solve that problem, and people are buying them off the shelves today. And as we grow out the range with the motorbike now and also a more entry-level product, it really opens it up to a whole new market.
And what are some of the challenges that you faced when you were first starting the company? They're not a huge amount of other companies like this, especially at the startup stage.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of being an electric vehicle, we were sort of rewriting or writing the legislation around it, and wasn't really fitting in very well with what the existing legislation was, basically 1989 for automotive vehicles, the Motor Act. So it's been an interesting process, really trying to forge forward and affect change. And if you look at other countries, there's been a lot more incentivization for electric vehicles, and they understand the importance of making that switch so that we can really tackle the carbon problem and climate change effectively.
And when you started the company, your first model that you brought out, is that still part of the range? Are we looking at one of them here? Or?
Actually, it's been superseded. So we've got one more model in the range that isn't here today. So it's the little brother of the X1, and that one was superseded. Our first model was the Fonzarelli 125. I think what we've done is we built the more premium brand of Fonzarelli scooters, and then the market was kind of demanding a motorcycle, and we wanted to build something that was agile and easy for commuting and make our cities less congested, and encourage more people to get on the road on two wheels. So with then we created the Naked bike for that, and so far NKD's been very popular. Really what the important thing is to make it more accessible for more people to get onto bikes, and we created Arthur with that in mind. So it's an entry-level product that starts at $3,990, and yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's very impressive about the Fonzarelli range is majority made in Australia.
Yeah, so the Fonzarelli X1 is built here. The Naked bike as well is built here in Sydney. We're currently manufacturing most of the stuff in Asia and Australia, and then the Arthur is made overseas.
Yeah, excellent. And so is the Arthur's on the market now, soon?
Yeah, the Arthur's on the market now. So we're quite interested to approach some fleets. I think when you're thinking about carbon emissions, where you can affect the most change is if you're going into larger corporate fleets, delivery drivers, that type of thing. So this is a great entry-level product. The power packs are actually removable, so you can charge them indoors, you can charge them at a garage. We do also have an option to charge the motorbike at public EV charging stations.
And I had another question on the tip of my tongue for you.
And I ramble.
No, so I was so enveloped with what you were saying that I forgot what it was. We were talking before about some of the different advantages and differences there are between your more traditional motorbikes and these new electric ones. For someone who's never ridden an electric motorcycle before, what are some of the big differences that you'd notice immediately?
Look, it's the nicest thing I would say is that the bikes, being electric, they have insane torque. You don't have the emitting the pollution out of an exhaust pipe out the back, so that's something that's really lovely. They're smooth, they're silent, you're really aware of what's going around you. You don't have that stinky smell that you get off the back of an exhaust pipe. So I'd say, yeah, performance, that acceleration power, the smooth silence and clean air.
Yeah, and I think more geared towards urban environments, these sort of models, I think that's probably where that silence factor would come into play. It gives you more awareness of your surroundings, I suppose.
Absolutely. We've focused on the urban environment because really cities are getting more and more polluted, and it's really important to focus on reducing pollution, reducing emissions out on the road, and cities need to get healthier and cleaner rather. That's better for society. So.
And I believe I'm right in saying you have a public transport background as well with your past motoring experience?
Yeah, so I basically was working in the manufacturing space with buses and coaches, and from internal combustion engines, then we developed a hybrid bus and then electric, and we launched the first commercially sold hybrid and electric buses in Australia. So that's sort of where the roots of the EV came from.
I think it's interesting that mass transport, your public transport, has quickly moved to electric and hybrid technology that's better on the environment, gives off less emissions, but now small scale personal transport as well, so you can still have that convenience while still reducing your carbon footprint as well.
Absolutely. Look, I think Australia's doing a few good things. There's like a trail down in Canberra, I believe, with some electric buses that will be at a larger scale than what's been done in the past. I think e-mobility on a smaller scale is a really important part of that piece, because reducing congestion, keeping our cities nice and clean, and that manoeuvrability around the city is really nice.
I think a lot of people who are considering an electric vehicle as well, there's still an element of that range anxiety that comes into it. What kind of range can you expect on one of these?
Sure. So the Arthur comes in 50 or 100 kilometres range with portable power packs you can take in and out for apartment living. The Naked bike, we've got 100 and 150 kilometres range. Very low centre of gravity, so it handles really nicely. And then here with the X1, we've got about 80, and I think we're developing a 120 kilometre range as well.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Guys, anything else that we want to cover off here? Maintenance. Okay. We'll reset and we'll come back into that as if nothing happened.
I talked about the environment 6 times, I was counting it.
Do you want to mention anything about the AEVA as well while we're here, or we'll do that with David? Okay. And let's talk about maintenance as well. Obviously, if you're buying a car now, there are all sorts of consumables and things like that. But is that the case with electrics as well?
No, absolutely not. So with Fonzarelli specifically, in comparison to an internal combustion engine, our bikes are $150 cap price servicing. That's from the Arthur through to the Naked bike. Very simple. The ongoing running cost is about $1 a week to run. That's based on if you're commuting around 17 kilometres per day, which is the average, I guess, in Sydney. Very low ongoing running costs.
Excellent. So you can save money and help the environment as well.
That's exactly right. Why not?
Okay, thanks so much.
I think we'll just have one line about how Michelle's looking forward to showing these bikes at the AEVE Expo this weekend.
Yeah. And obviously we've brought the bikes here to the AEVA Expo that's happening here at Sydney Olympic Park this weekend, October 26 and October 27. What attracted you to this event?
I'm a big fan of AVA. The team work really hard lobbying and to make change. I think that's really where it starts at those ground roots sort of organisations. So supporting this event, and also exciting to be here at Sydney Olympic Park with what will be, I think, Australia's biggest electric vehicle show is a pretty exciting thing to be a part of.
Okay, excellent. Thanks so much, Michelle.
Thank you.
So David Hiley, you've owned electric vehicles for some 10 years now. How did you first get into the game?
Oh, look, I sort of took an interest in climate change and things way back then in 2007, and so at that stage I got my first electric scooter, like a sort of a kick scooter, like a Vespa type thing, and that was really getting the bug of what it's right to try electric. And then from there I went 2012, I got myself a Nissan Leaf, and then moved up now, and I'm driving on a Model 3, which is one of the new Teslas that's coming about. Yeah.
Excellent. And when you first got that Nissan Leaf, that was one of the first EVs on the market, I believe.
It was, yeah. I think the Nissan Leaf were first, along with I think Mitsubishi had an IME, so they were the first cars in Australia that were available, and yeah, I was really keen to get one of those. I test drive in the US, and yeah, we bought that really early on.
Yeah, so what did you notice when you first jumped to an electric vehicle? What was some of the first things you noticed difference-wise?
I guess just the sort of instant acceleration. So, when you put your foot down, the car just goes straight away. So, it's a very responsive car to drive, and very relaxing. It's obviously a fairly quiet vehicle. There's still a little bit of noise with tyres and so forth, but compared to a regular car, they're much quieter. And obviously the zero emissions nature of them has always appealed as well. But I've always been a driver and a bit of a bike racer as well, so it's always appealed to me, the performance side of things too.
Yeah, you were just talking about your zero motorbike racing career briefly, but...
Yeah, so I bought a Zero motorcycle, so that's a fully fledged motorbike, and basically raced that in the series around Australia for a couple of years, and did track days with all the big leader bikes that go around, and had a lot of fun with that. And that's they're not as evolved, I guess, as cars in terms of electric vehicles, with sort of the likes of Tesla and Nissan Leaf particularly, very interesting vehicles that have come out now. And the motorcycles are taking a while to sort of take off because you know, you need a bit more space to fit those batteries in. But you know, there's certainly a lot of fun to ride, and you know, the Fonzarelli scooters we'll have here over the weekend are a lot of fun as well.
I was just about to describe you as a bit of a rev head, but that doesn't seem right. Maybe an EV head or an EV head.
Yeah, I think it's like a speed fiend or something along those lines. Yeah, so I really love my electric vehicles in terms of the performance side of things. So as I said, taking them out on the track, done ride days and race with them, and yeah, I'm certainly more performance oriented than a lot of others who have the vehicles. But I guess once you get in the vehicles, you tend to be a little bit, you know, lead foot, I guess, in terms just because they're so much fun to drive.
I mean, that does put some argument to the people who maybe don't consider an electric car to be a fun vehicle, so to speak, but you can have a lot of fun in them still.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, so you know, some of the cars we're looking at, the one that I drove back up from Melbourne yesterday, top speed's 230 k's an hour, 0 to 100.
Which you would never drive on Australian roads.
Which, of course, it's a track day fast. So yeah, you can get to 110 k's an hour on the highway very fast. And you know, we're seeing cars like the Nissan Leaf, they're 0 to 100 in about 8 seconds. So we're talking comparable to like a V6, or in the case of the fastest cars, V8 or better. So you know, certainly the performance is there on the vehicles. That's really one of their selling points, and something that people aren't necessarily aware of, that they are basically high performance vehicles, and a lot of them in certain states you can't actually drive on provisional licenses because they are quite high powered. So that's something to bear in mind as well.
Power to weight ratio, that sort of comes
absolutely.
into it.
So there's limits. I think it's 150 kilowatts per tonne, things like that. So yeah, my vehicle, unfortunately, my son, who's growing into this age, won't be able to drive.
I bet he's furious about that too.
He's a little unhappy, but he's at the age now where he's playing beach buggy racing and some of the other fun things that are actually available in the car. So that may change in time when he gets to 16 and gets his licence and realises that yeah, we'll have to find another car for him to drive around in.
What would you say to people who have maybe been considering an electric car but haven't driven one yet or aren't sure about making that leap?
Yeah, I think the thing is that you really need to experience them. Actually get in the cars and drive them. There's obviously lots of attention to electric vehicles at the moment and the energy market more generally, but you really need to get in there bums in seats, and that's what the expo we're running this weekend is all about, is actually giving the opportunity to test ride and test drive, get in the driver's seat of cars like the Nissan Leaf and the other Teslas that are here, and just experience it. And I think people go away, you know, very impressed with where the technology is at. They really are in a lot of ways better than regular petrol cars in terms of performance and a whole bunch of other things. So, you know, it's an exciting time in Australia. There's some really great vehicles available now too.
Excellent. All right, thanks so much, David. That's great.